It was May 10th, 2013. I was really busy. Work that month was crazy. Got home from work, did some more work. Think I did some stuff with the kids, went back to work. Slept for a couple hours and got up and did more work. This pattern continued. It was just that busy at work for a couple weeks. And I remember sending emails 2, 3 in the morning. I'd be talking to somebody and they were offshore overseas, so it was their day, their middle of their day, and they knew that it was sleeping time over here. It got to the point where at some point in time, the guy, when I was talking to him or emailing back and forth, asked, "What are your actual hours? What are your main hours? Because you're sending stuff all the time." So it came down to Mother's Day weekend that Friday, and thank the Lord I was able to shut down because it was sad. So I was lying in bed with my wife, and we were just talking. And then she said to me, "Thank you for my Mother's Day present." I don't remember if I did give her the Mother's Day present, and I was like, well, and if I did, I wouldn't have done it till Sunday. What are you talking about? I'm pregnant. She couldn't even look me in the eye when she said that. As a man, the first thing that you think about, what am I going to do? How am I going to provide for this child? You know, at this point, we were already blessed with the 3 girls. How I am right now is how I was then. I was speechless. Didn't know what to think. There's only 3 bedrooms. What are we going to do? Where are we going to put this other one? How am I going to pay for this kid? 3 is enough? 4? What's going to happen? But the biggest thing that came to mind that night was this thought. This is yet another child that I need to get into the kingdom. This is another person that I need to get into the kingdom. Fathers to be, fathers in Israel, this is what it's all about. It's about getting your children into the kingdom. Give them everything else. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. It's gonna burn. The phone's gonna burn. The house is gonna burn. The Xbox is gonna burn. The laptop's gonna burn. Our sole role is to see the children all around us get into the kingdom. Adventist home. Listen what it says here, page 212. In the Father represents the divine lawgiver of the family. He is a laborer together with God, carrying out the gracious designs of God and establishing in his children upright principles, enabling them to form pure and virtuous characters. The father must not betray his sacred trust. He must not on any point yield up his parental authority. Have mercy, I'm going to read some facts. I was practicing this sermon this morning. When I read this stuff out loud, I just had to stop. Listen to this. Some of these facts are from the U.S., but you know what? When the U.S. sneezes, we catch a cold, so let's go. 43% of U.S. children live without their father. 63% of youth suicides are from fatherless homes, 5 times the average. 90% of all homeless and runaway children are from fatherless homes, 32 times the average. 85% of all children who show behavior disorders come from fatherless homes. Now that's only 20 times the average. 80% of rapists with anger problems come from fatherless homes. 71% of all high school dropouts from fatherless homes, 9 times the average. 75% of all adolescent patients in chemical abuse centers come from fatherless homes, 10 times the average. You think we have a work to do, fathers? The work of making home happy does not rest upon the mother alone. Fathers have an important part to act. The husband is the house band of the home treasures, binding by his strong, earnest, devoted affection the members of the household, mother and children, together in the strongest bonds of union. I'm going to just talk about 2 things today. 2 things, guys, of what we must be. 1, we need to be regular. Now, I'm not talking about eating good fiber and good health or anything like that. That's not the regular I'm talking about here. Work with me here. In prayer, page 21. Let the father, as priest of the household, lay upon the altar of God the morning and evening sacrifice, while the wife and children unite in prayer and praise. In such a household, Jesus will love to tarry. Amen? That's a place where Jesus wants to be. A great example of a father in the Bible is Job. Let me read Job 1, verses 1 to 5. There once was a man named Job who lived in the land of Uz. He was blameless, a man of complete integrity. He feared God and stayed away from evil. He had 7 sons and 3 daughters. He owned 7,000 sheep, 3,000 camels, 500 teams of oxen, and 500 female donkeys. He also had many servants. This guy had it made. He had it all. Don't you want it all, man? I know I do. I would love to have this said about me. It's not, but I would love it. It says he was, in fact, the richest person in that area. That is definitely not me. Job's sons would take turns preparing feasts in their homes, and they would invite their 3 sisters to celebrate with them. Verse 5, when these celebrations ended, sometimes after several days, they had the money, big party, Job would purify his children. He would get up early in the morning and offer a burnt offering for each of them. You see, now that takes time. That takes time. He didn't just do, okay, let me do 1 lamb for all 10. He did it 1 for each of them. For Job said to himself, perhaps my children have sinned and have cursed God in their hearts. This was Job's regular practice. I took that from the New Living Translation. It was his regular practice to do that. Children with fathers who are involved, 40% less likely to repeat a grade in school, 70% less likely to drop out of school, are more likely to get A's in school, are more likely to enjoy school and engage in extracurricular activities. We need to be active and consistent in the lives of our children. Here's the definition of regular. It says, arranged in or constituting a constant or definite pattern, especially with the same space between individual instances. And some synonyms are methodical, systematic, structured, well-ordered, well-organized. Another meaning, done or happening frequently. You see where I'm going with this? Guys, we need to be regular in the lives of our children. We need to be well structured in the lives of our children. We need to be systematic in the lives of our children. The devil is very systematic in trying to break us down. He studies every single nuance of our characters just to see what he can do to break you down. How much more should we study the characters of our children? See where their strengths are, see where their weaknesses are, and build up those weaknesses. Satan ain't playing with us. He's not playing. This is serious. And guys, we need to take this seriously as well. Listen to this study. This is back in 2008. It said, kids with active father figures are less likely to suffer psychological and behavioral problems, and having a father figure around can reduce crime and enhance cognitive skills like intelligence, reasoning, and language in low-income families. Now look at the researchers. It says, researchers are calling for father figures to be more involved in health and policymakers to promote more father-friendly policies. Why should we be promoting father-friendly policies? We should already have that. Our detailed 20-year review shows that overall, children reap positive benefits if they have active and regular engagement with a father figure. For example, we found various studies that showed that children who had positively involved father figures were less likely to smoke and get into trouble with the police, achieved better levels of education, and developed good friendship with children of both sexes. So society has just led us to believe that all we need to do is just work. Bring home the bacon. Provide. Is that our role? That's part of it. That is definitely part of it. But that's not all of it. Sometimes we think that that is it. Well, I gave you everything you needed. What more do you want? We may not like to acknowledge this way of thinking, but in the day-to-day Christian home, we often see more than not the father out the door before the kids are up and comes home just in time to tuck them into bed, if at all. So who's left with the responsibility of rearing the children? Mother. Brothers, married women should not have to live like single mothers. Think about that for a while. Chew on that one. Chew on that. My wife should not have to live like a single mother in my house. The father's duty to his children cannot be transferred to the mother. If she performs her own duty, she has burden enough to bear. We read, if you listen to what Jenny was saying about the mothers, isn't that a lot for them to bear? And now we want to throw some more stuff on top of that? That's unfair. That's actually cruel. Only by working in unison can the father and mother accomplish the work which God has committed to their hands. We're in it together. There's no us versus them. Unison, one purpose, one accord. The father should not excuse himself from his part of the work of educating his children for life and immortality. He must share in the responsibility. There is obligation for both father and mother. So that was number one. Be regular. Be involved in the lives of your children. Know what they like. Know what they don't like. Last point, number two. Fathers, we need to be a role model. Remember years ago, Charles Barkley on that commercial or whatever, he says, I'm not a role model. And you know what? He's right. He can't be a role model to everybody. He's just a basketball player. If you want to emulate good basketball skills, sure. That's a role model for you. But when it comes to building up your character, when it comes to raising your children, we need to be the role models. We need to take the lead in ensuring that our children see God for who He really is. What's the definition of a role model? A person who serves as an example of the values, attitudes, and behaviors associated with the role. Role models can also be persons who distinguish themselves in such a way that others admire and want to emulate them. Let me break that down. If I'm supposed to be a role model, I need to distinguish myself in such a way that Jemiah, Jael, Rashala, and Zachari, my four, will actually admire and emulate me. How is that for a thought? Our children are looking to us as fathers, as father figures, looking to emulate us. We can only do this with the help of the Lord. No, all is not lost here. Deuteronomy 6:6-9. I'm reading this from the Message version. It says, "Write these commandments that I've given you today on your hearts. Get them inside of you, and then get them inside your children." Get them inside of you first. I cannot give to my kids something that I don't have. If I went to my kid and said, you know what, here's $1 million. Here's a check. I know I don't have it. What do you think is going to happen with that check? It's going to bounce. Furthermore, they'd probably laugh at me. It's like, I know you don't have that. Kids are smart. They know. They know what you have. They know what you don't have. And they'll call you on it. Say, no, you don't have that. Come on. You don't have that. Give me some. I know what you do have. You can give me that. But that I know you don't have. How can I impart the Spirit of Jesus to them if it's not in me first? How can I do that? How can I give them the Spirit? How can I show them what Jesus is like if I'm not like that already? What do they call that? They call that what? A farce, right? I'm trying to give you something that I don't have. It's not going to work. We need to get these things inside of us, and then, and only then, we can get them inside of our children. Talk about them wherever you are. Sitting at home, walking on the street. Talk about them. Talk about the commandments from the time you get up to when you fall into your bed at night. Tie them on your hands and your foreheads as a reminder. Inscribe them on the doorposts of your homes and of your city gates. This is our full-time job. The full-time job that we think we have, that pays bills, that allows us to provide things for them, that's really the part-time job. That's really the part-time job. Yeah, some work 40 hours a week, 20 hours a week. Work overtime, man, I did put in 60 hours. Oh man, am I ever tired? This is a 24/7 job. There's always time to impress your children. Not impress them about the stuff that you do, but to impress the principles of Jesus on them. Our children should not only reflect our physical attributes, but they also need to reflect our spiritual attributes. You know how the saying goes? Oh, he's a chip off the block. Looks just like his daddy. Wow, look at her. She's as beautiful as her mom. But let's go a little bit deeper than that. How about, wow, look at the spirit of that little guy. It so reminds me of his father. His father is just like that. Look how graceful that little girl is. Oh, she's just like her mother. Those are the things that last. Those are the things that last. In conclusion, let me read one more quote. Testimonies for the Church, Volume 4, page 616. It reads, "The father, who is the houseband of the family, will bind his children to the throne of God by living faith. Distrusting his own strength, he hangs his helpless soul on Jesus and takes hold of the strength of the Most High." Brethren, pray at home, in your family, night and morning. Pray earnestly in your closet. And while engaged in your daily labor, lift up the soul to God in prayer. It was thus that Enoch walked with God. And we know what happened with Enoch, right? The Bible says he didn't die, for God took him. Sometimes we like to do things in our own strength, right, guys? I remember one time, bonus story. Remember one time I had a TV, and it was a nice Sony Trinitron. It was like a 32-inch TV. And I remember I was in the apartment with Carol and Daisy. I was single at the time, living with them, and I remember I just wanted to move it. And so I said, okay, well, it's pretty heavy, but I can do this. So, got underneath, and I was going to pick it up. It was bigger than this thing here. I went. I was picking it up, lifted it up, and I was just moving it. And then it went forward on me. Boom! My $1,000 TV, in my mind, okay, I'm just gonna go toss it out. The crash that it made, okay, it's done. It's done. So I reluctantly picked it up and turned it over to see the mess that I've made. Because when it fell, I swear, everything inside that TV moved. Everything moved. Everything was just shaking up in there. I heard it all. Turned it over. There was one dent in it. One dent. Dacia comes out the room, is like, what happened? I said, well, I was just moving the TV. You know, just moving it over there, and that's it. Then she says, all you had to do was ask for help. Guys, we need help. The Holy Spirit's here to help us. People around us are here to help us. stuff that I'm going through now, chances are somebody in here has experienced that and can help me. Things that you're going through right now, chances are there's someone here in the church that can tell a story that can pull you through. Guys, let's be regular. Let's be involved actively in the lives of our children. Let's ensure that our wives don't feel like single mothers in their own home. Let's be the positive role model to our kids so that when they look at us, they're not really seeing us, they're seeing Christ in us. That's the only way that we can make this thing work.